In this video I'm going to show you how to make drum and bass like this. If you want to get the dance floor drum and bass pack that's just come out, over 500 samples, 100 serum presets and 3 project files, there's a link down below to grab that. This track is in F minor and we're using 174 BPM. The track is called Bounce and it's made with DJ Youth, out now on Riot Records, link down below if you want to stream it. Let's break down the drums, then the basses, then the vocals, then the instruments, and then the effects. If we could go for 100 likes on this video, that would be insane. So firstly, let's look at the drums. As you can see along the top here, we've got a 16 bar intro and then we've got a 16 bar build up. And then the drop is 16 bars and then another 16 bars. And then we just repeat, breakdown, build up, second drop. So let's look at the first 16 bars. Now, if you don't know, this is my project template. This is why everything is blue and all the drums are laid out for us here. So if you want to grab this, it's in the add-on section of my website. And let's just play it for you. We have a hi-hat hitting every other beat. And then we have this supporting percussion element, which I believe I found on Splice, adding some extra percussion in the background and groove. And that literally is all we have for the first 16 bars. And then we move into the build here, and this hi-hat comes in more frequently. So it comes in every other step. And that just happens until 1 bar before the drop where it cuts out. And then we have these additional elements coming in. So we have this break, which is from a break sample pack that's free to download. I'll leave a link to that down below. And it's chopped and looped. And that just happens again for the whole 16 bars until 1 bar before the drop. And then we've actually found this build-up loop, I believe from Splice. So I've cheated a little bit with the build-up, but it sounded so good I didn't want to not use it. And we get this. And then everything cuts out, and then halfway between the pre-drop we have this, which is what I would call a drum roll. Now there's loads of these on Splice, and I've also started including them in my brand new sample pack. And then we go into the drop. So let me grab the first 4 bars of the drop. I'm going to delete everything and then we're going to recreate it. So firstly we're going to start with Dance Floor Kick directly from the sample pack that I mentioned earlier. And this is going to just go on every single bar like that. And then we can just control, drag and select them all, hold shift and drag, put it in the middle and then 2 steps across like that. And we get our drum and bass pattern. And then we want to grab a snare that sounds like this. We're just using a snare from the rollers pack. And then we just put this across like this. We can just duplicate it. And then we get the drum and bass pattern. You can hear that's nice and snappy as well. A nice short snare, because that adds a bit more groove to the track. And then we're just going to use some hi-hats, loops from one of my packs. So this is just a hi-hat in here and here and then here and here. So it's pretty simple. It's just giving some transient to the kick drum and then hitting in the usual place for drum and bass. And next we add some top range. So this is a sample from Splice that we added. And then we've added another sample from a shaker loop from Splice. There's loads of these in my new sample pack as well. And then all together we get this. A nice loop. And then this is just repeated. And then we've just got this extra percussion element coming at the end of the section like this. And this is just chopped from a full break sample. And that just works well with the basses later on, which I'll show you. And then the only other variation is at the end of each 32 bar sections, we have this breaks, which is the Real Funk Amen one, the one from the build-up, and then that just comes in every 32 bars to create some transition elements, and the kicks are removed, as you can see there. So then everything is literally just copied and pasted. So once I'm fully happy with the intro, the build and the drums on the drop, I literally just copy and paste everything across so you can see. So I've actually copied it from the build up here. Like you can see that is the same as that. And then we've copied it again actually at the end because it goes back into another build up before the tune ends. That's just a little trick that DJs like. So if they play both drops, they can mix out into another drop here. But the tune ends. So now let's look at the basses. So for this track, I've done a slightly different approach. I've used a mixture of Serum and Splice for this. There are some really cool samples on Splice for this kind of music. So the first hit, and this is just from the Jump Up pack actually. And it's just 2 oscillators, one on +7 here, and these are basic shapes, some crazy wavetable here, and then just a sine wave here. And we've chosen a triangle sub here, and then we've got the filter on this envelope here, and then this LFO on these 3 here. And then we've got some effects going on, so we've got distortion on the mod here, so it's only applying to like that much there. And then these are actually both turned off, and just got a compressor on, so it's quite a simple sound. But it sounds so cool. And we've got an OTT on it and a Valhalla room, and then of course we've got a Pro L, just stopping any clipping because I do like to mix my basses loud. And then we've got a little reverb on it as well, coming from down here, which is just Valhalla room and EQing out the lows. So I like to use that as my first stab bass hit. So there's actually no sub bass underneath it because we've got the sub from Serum playing. But then the rest of the track we do put a sub underneath it, and we just EQ out any subs that were in the samples. So you can see we've got our jump up sustain stab. So if you want to copy this, it's just like this, and then this is drawn on here, just on bin 3. And it gets this really aggressive sounding sub bass. And then this is like pitched up with this bass. So I found this in a sample on Splice, and then I've just chopped it up to my liking. And then we've got this layer down here as well. It kind of acts like a sub bass for this bass. An extra layer. And we are using the ABAC method. So let's just look at it in terms of that. So this is A. And then this is B. So we've got this bass, which I think was from Splice as well. And then we've got this wobble, which was from Splice, but I chopped it up. And then our Serum comes back in. And then we go back to section A, which is literally just this copied. And then we go to section C, which again is another sample chopped up, mixed with another wub chopped into this at the bottom, and then a different sub bass down here, which DJ Youth made. So the best thing to think about this is work on A, then work on B. You can easily copy A across, and then just make some variation transition for C. And then this is just copied across to here, and then here, and then here. Maybe some slight variations are made where possible. So if you've got any questions about these basses, then let me know. And if we just have a look at the mix down for this, you can see I have put some extra processing on some of the basses, like this. And most of it is just EQ'd so that the sub doesn't interfere with it. And you can see everyone's coming in super loud, so it's all similar levels, and then all of these get sent to the bass bus, which is turned considerably down so that when it comes in with the drums sound a lot louder. And then one thing to note as well is this is A, B, A, C, but then this is A, B, A, D. Because at the end of this section here, we go into that breaks that I showed earlier, and then we use elements back from the intro in this section. So I'll show you now. It sounds like this. And that's the same instrument used in the intro, which we'll get into in a bit. So that's just a good little tip to know, just to keep it interesting, keep stuff moving, and using elements from the intro and combine them with the elements from the drop. Now let's look at the vocals. These vocals the DJ Youth found.
Bounce like bounce, 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 bounce like bounce, 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 bounce.
I thought these were really cool because they're like really memorable. All she's saying is bounce, bounce, bounce. So if this was to play in like a rave or anything, then it would be really recognizable.
Bounce, 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 bounce,
and then it's just looped with a vocal riser.
Make it bounce like.
And then we just have the main vocal bit right at the end in that 1 bar pre-drop.
Bounce, make it bounce like.
And then it just comes back in throughout the drop. So here.
Make it bounce. Make it bounce like.
Here.
Make it bounce. Make it bounce like.
And it's basically just copied and pasted. And it starts again, and it goes in, and etc. And then we have some variation here.
Bounce, bounce, bounce like.
And it's really simple, the vocals. I don't know exactly where these are found from, but you can look on Splice. You can record your own vocals. You can look on other sample pack websites. You can try and work with a singer, collaborate with them. There's lots of ways to get vocals. So let's look at the intro. So our core sample for the intro is this like rave stab. So this is just a sample from Splice, and then I've put some delay on it as the post-processing. Get that cool effect. And then this one below is just the same, but without the delay on it. So it's just like that for the first 8 bars, and then I layer it with another instrument from Nexus, which one sounds like this. So when they're both together, it's barely noticeable, but it just does add a little bit to it. And then we bring this in as well, which is just like a weird percussion instrument, just to add levels to the track. And I think that works really well when the breaks come in here. Adds a nice layer to it. That's it for the instruments. It's really simple. And then we just have this bit that comes in, I mentioned earlier, when the transition comes in. This is copied over across, and then I've just edited some little bits of it to fit with the drop melody. And then that's again comes at the end of the drop, and then this is all just copied across. Then finally, let's have a look at the effects. So we're using a crowd effects as our white noise, which sounds like this. And then we're using impacts, another impact here, and then just more white noise. We've got a thunder white noise mixed with a high rise effect. So this is like a really high string instrument playing just the root note of the key, so just an F. And that's it, mixed with the crowd. And then we just got our risers before the drop, 3 layered together here, mixed with that vocal one as well.
Bounce, make it bounce like.
And then everything stops before the drop. And then we just have this cool thing in the drop here,
Make it bounce.
which I thought was really nice. So it's like a down filter mixed with like a fountain thing, mixed with like a glissando. And then that just repeats every section of the drop. It just adds a nice little element to it. And then all this is literally just copied. Boom. Here. And then that first 8 bars is got rid of. And copied again. So you can see it makes a big difference using a project template like this. It just makes everything look so simple. And look how simple this track really is. And it sounds really cool. So now that we've gone through it, let's listen to Bounce all the way through.
Make it bounce like. Make it bounce. Make it bounce like. Make it bounce. Make it bounce like. Make it bounce. Make it bounce like.
And that is the track complete. If you feel like you learned something in this video, please don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and hit the bell notification. I release a new video every single week on Thursday, and that way you'll never miss a tutorial. Also, let me know what kind of videos you want to see from me in the future. I reply to all comments down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.